Behind every so-called rock pioneer history book celebrate, there's a soundtrack that was stolen, from Ma Rainey's raw blues to Bessie Smith's commanding voice, from Sister Rosetta Tharpe's electric guitar to Big Mama Thornton's fire and Big Maybelle's soul. These women laid the foundation for modern music, yet their names were pushed aside, while others made millions from their sound. This is Stolen Soundtracks, the untold story of Black women who contributed to the creation of the music the world dances to, only to have their credit erased.
Before Elvis ever barked the words, "You ain't nothing but a hound dog," there was Big Mama Thornton, a blues powerhouse with a voice that could shake the walls. In 1952, Willie Mae Big Mama Thornton recorded Hound Dog. Her raw, growling delivery turned it into a hit on the R&B charts, selling nearly 2 million copies. But just 4 years later, a young Elvis Presley re-recorded it. His version skyrocketed to #1, making him a household name and millions in profit. Meanwhile, Big Mama? She earned just $500 for the original, and was never properly credited for sparking one of the most iconic rock songs of all time. Her voice carried grit, soul, and power, and laid the very foundation of rock and roll, but history handed the spotlight to Elvis Presley. We remember Big Mama Thornton, not just as a footnote, but as a founding voice in American music. Remember her name, Big Mama Thornton, the voice before Elvis, the soul behind the sound. Before rock and roll had a name, before Jerry Lee Lewis set pianos on fire, there was a woman with a voice that could split the heavens. Big Maybelle. She recorded Whole Lotta Shakin' Goin' On first. She made it swing, she made it burn, but history barely mentions her name. Born Maybelle Louise Smith in 1924, Tennessee, she was raised on gospel and grew up in hardship. But her voice? Thunder. By her teens, she was touring with big bands, breaking barriers in a world that didn't welcome bold Black women. In 1955, Big Maybelle stepped into the studio with OK Records. She recorded a fiery track that would become a cornerstone of rock. Whole Lotta Shakin' Goin' On. She didn't just sing it, she owned it. Raw, gritty, grown. It wasn't a teen bop, it was a grown woman's anthem of rhythm and desire. But in 1957, Jerry Lee Lewis recorded the same song, this time on Sun Records. His version exploded. It became a crossover sensation. White radio played it, charts celebrated it, history credited him, and Big Maybelle erased. But she kept recording. Candy, One Monkey Don't Stop No Show, 96 Tears, years before Aretha revived it. She was bold, ahead of her time, and too often ignored because of it. By the late 1960s, health issues took their toll. She passed away in 1972, nearly forgotten. No big headlines, no Rock Hall induction. But her sound, her power, it lives in every blues rock growl and soul scream that followed. She was the first to light the match. She made Whole Lotta Shakin' shake. But her name was buried so another could shine. Remember her name, Big Maybelle, not Ma Rainey, the mother of the blues they tried to silence. Before Beyoncé, before Aretha, before anyone called themselves a diva, there was Ma Rainey, a bold Black woman in a corset and gold teeth, singing her pain, her power, and her pleasure on her own terms. Born Gertrude Pridgett in Columbus, Georgia in 1886, she grew up in the post-slavery South, where Black voices were silenced unless they entertained. But Ma wasn't there to just perform. She was there to testify. By her teens, she was touring minstrel circuits and Black vaudeville shows. By 1904, she married performer Will Rainey and became Ma Rainey, star of the Rabbit Foot Minstrels. She didn't just sing, she commanded the stage, gritty, honest, and unapologetically Black and queer. Her lyrics were raw before raw was allowed. Love, betrayal, drinking, sex, even same-sex desire. She sang it all with her chest. Went out last night, had a great big fight, everything seemed to go on wrong. I looked up, to my surprise. The gal I was with was gone. Ma Rainey, Prove It on Me, 1928. In 1923, Ma Rainey signed with Paramount Records and became one of the first Black women ever recorded. Over 5 years, she cut more than 90 songs, often backed by top-tier musicians, like a young Louis Armstrong. Her voice? Raspy, bold, country, gritty, not polished, not whitewashed, real. She gave the blues its soul, and laid the foundation for artists like Bessie Smith, who once called her a mentor, and even Janis Joplin, who worshipped her sound. But here's what they don't tell you. While Ma Rainey's records sold thousands across black communities, she wasn't played on white radio. While white blues artists in the 60s were praised for rediscovering the blues, Ma was nearly erased from the story she helped write. Hollywood tried to reintroduce her through Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, but the film was just a sliver of her brilliance. She taught the world how to bleed through music. She wore diamonds in her teeth and truth in her lyrics. She built the house that every soul singer walks through today. Remember her name, Ma Rainey, the mother of the blues, the blueprint they tried to bury.
Before jazz clubs had microphones, before pop stars had managers, before soul singers wore crowns, there was Bessie Smith, the Empress of the Blues, a voice so big it didn't need a mic, just a stage, a crowd, and her truth. Born in poverty in Chattanooga, she lost both parents before age 10. She and her siblings sang on street corners for pennies, surviving with nothing but harmony and hustle. By her teens, Bessie was on the road with Ma Rainey herself, learning how to own the stage. But soon, the student became the star. In 1923, Bessie Smith recorded Downhearted Blues. It sold over 750,000 copies in just 6 months. A record. A revolution. A black woman at the top of the charts during the Harlem Renaissance. She toured with a 40-piece band, filled auditoriums during segregation, refused to perform in venues that didn't allow black people through the front door. Her songs, heartbreak, booze, love, rough, queer, and real. It's true I wear a collar and a tie. You don't know the things I try. She was bold-bodied, bisexual, and beloved, long before the world had the language to praise her. Bessie's phrasing, emotion, and timing became the blueprint for vocalists to come. Yet, like so many black women, she was praised in private, stolen in public. Billie Holiday called her the reason I sing. Janis Joplin idolized her and later bought her a headstone. Because Bessie's grave was left unmarked for over 30 years. In 1937, Bessie was in a car crash outside Mississippi. The myth says she was denied care at a white hospital. Some say it's true, others debate it. But what's certain is, she died young, broke, and buried without a proper memorial. She filled halls with sound and silence with soul. She was the best paid black entertainer of her time. Then they buried her quietly. Remember her name, Bessie Smith, the Empress of the Blues, the voice they tried to silence, then forget.
Before Chuck Berry duck-walked, before Little Richard screamed, before Elvis swiveled, there was Sister Rosetta Tharpe, a black woman with a Gibson guitar and a gospel voice that shook the heavens and the charts. Born in 1915 in Cotton Plant, Arkansas, Rosetta was a child prodigy raised in the Church of God in Christ, where women were allowed to preach and play. By 6, she was on tour with her mother across the gospel circuit. When she moved to Chicago and then New York, Rosetta fused sacred music with the gritty blues and swinging jazz she heard in the clubs. It was revolutionary, a gospel star who played electric guitar like a rock rebel, before rock even had a name. So, back in 1944, her song Strange Things Happening Every Day actually became the first gospel record to cross over to Billboard's R&B chart. A blueprint, really, for rock and roll. You know, they all borrowed her swagger, but honestly, she was rarely given credit. Even her groundbreaking 1951 concert, when she got married on stage in a stadium with a full electric set, was nearly forgotten. She bent gospel into blues, then set it on fire. She birthed the sound of rock and roll. Remember her name, Sister Rosetta Tharpe, the godmother of rock and roll.
Ma Rainey, Bessie Smith, Sister Rosetta Tharpe, Big Mama Thornton, Big Maybelle. These women didn't just sing songs, they built the blueprint for blues, rock, gospel, and soul. Yet history too often gave their credit, their royalties, and their spotlight to someone else. Their sound was borrowed, their art was exploited, but their legacy cannot be silenced. This is Stolen Soundtracks, restoring the voices of the women who gave the world its music. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, so the names of our Black pioneers will never be erased.